Thank you very much, Quick Shot. Great cast on the day, guys. Now I am joined by the Unicorns' 80 carry Steelback, who had a monster game yet again on Kalista. Tell me about this champion. You first picked it this time. You've not gotten your hands on it more than 5 now, but it has been so monumental in your victories. Why do you think it is such a big part to that?
I think Kalista is a very strong champ overall, so I think it's always first pick worthy. Yesterday we made the mistake to not first pick it, but after the loss I was like, no, today I'm gonna get my champion. And since I have a really strong support, Hylissang, which is he's a god on Thresh, it allows him to make plays around the map, so that's why it's really strong for us right now.
Well, I could definitely see the results in there, and it was a fantastic victory, close to flawless. Now, I want to ask you a little bit about your coach. It is Coaches Week here at the European LCS. As a newer member of Unicorns coming on at the start of the split, what are your experiences of Sheepy, as his veteran status is kind of regarded him as one of our better coaches?
Sheepy at first, when I arrived in the team, we were missing a lot of stuff, but what impressed me the most about Sheepy is that he improved a lot, and we talk a lot. He always look for improvement, and I really like that because he's very hard worker, so it makes things easier. And I very like him as a coach because he's very close to the players, and he's always looking for what's the problem are, and yeah.
Well, I'm sure he'll be happy to hear it. I mean, so with all that, thanks for that interview. I'm really glad to see that you guys are just getting so well along and very, very close to the playoffs, hoping for that Elements loss, I would imagine. So we're going to send it over to the desk to break down the game a little bit further. Also, we'll see Unicorn's coach up there as well.
Thank you, Pyra. Indeed, both Sheepy and Yamato joined us here. Thank you very much for that. Obviously, a bit tougher for Yamato to join here on the desk. I quickly want to touch on what Steelback said there. You know, of course, singing your praises. Of course, he knows that you're listening. But it is interesting to me. He says, you know, you've improved as a coach. How do you do that? But it's not like you have a coach's coach to tell you what to do.
I don't know. I feel really happy about all of this. It's, I didn't know that he would say stuff like this, so I'm really happy that I'm seen as a hard worker. And yeah, I'm really thankful. So I don't know. I just work hard. I learn from the stuff that I can, and I always try to improve the people around me. And you know, I have really great players, so it's really great that I can learn so much from them. And yeah, we translate it into a win today.
I want to touch on one more thing he said in the interview, where he says Hylissang is a god on Thresh, therefore we make a lot of plays on the map. But one of the comments I had in the early game is that it felt like Hylissang was sticking to Steelback too much. Maybe Yamato, did you notice that too when you were watching the minimap? Very often the few windows of opportunity that were given Splyce were because Kalista and Thresh were so often together in the side lane trying to deal with a VR that would then just back off.
Yeah, I felt, you know, I'm just looking at it from our perspective, and it's kind of hard because everything is clouded for me, because in reality, from my perspective, what happened was we just kept getting caught.
Yeah.
And that was the Thresh doing it. But so that is like what sticks out in my memory, right? We getting caught by the Thresh. And of course, it kind of hurts a bit, but in reality, we'll just move on. And speaking of the Thresh, I feel we could have punished it more, because we gave up mid lane waves against a solo Kalista when we could have punished it.
Yeah, actually, really good eye. And I'm happy that you see this, because there was one time where he's top lane together with Kalista, and then we're pushing, and that was one of their power plays. And yeah, we need to be looking out for this stuff. We had it also yesterday, and that was actually a point we were talking to. Generally, you know, we are fine, but I mean, in this case, he should have definitely helped mid lane, control the center, and then rotate.
Cool. One more thing from yesterday. You guys lost, obviously, to a Rammus pick. Just doing so much zoning towards Steelback in those fights. Was this pick, obviously, you can't go into in depth, but like, was it reactionary? Was it planned? Were you planning on bringing it up, perhaps, or was it just like, damn, Rammus is OP, we're gonna pick that?
Yeah, it was kind of the last, actually. Like, we played it against in scrims, and it did really, really well. And we never really we prepped it once for IEM, actually, the Rammus. So it's like really old pick for us when Fiora was even stronger. We thought it does fine, like 2-3 items. So yeah, we picked it up. It was really, really strong, and in the end, you know, it actually worked really well.
How much did it disrupt the game plan you guys had, or you may have foreseen that it would come out?
No, like I was expecting the Ramos. I was surprised by the Nautilus ban, because I didn't think it really had any effect, because we assumed you guys would take Nautilus again. But after we saw the Ramos, the only adjustment we made was we put Corki on AD carry, made sure we had triple AP, so the Ramos that itemizes full armor will have less effect. But so we were ready for the Ramos.
Yeah, just from our end, that's like the downside from Ramos, right? You have to build so much armor but it's actually really good against the Fiora because you can go QSS, you have magic resistance, and you beat the Fiora in 1v1.
Speaking about that, Rammus, there's one replay that I want to highlight, and I actually just want both of your opinions. This is in the early game. Basically, what's going to happen here is I want to praise Unicorns of Love on using the Rift Herald to go 3 bot, setting up pressure, and then the expected play I had in mind was that we would see a rotation mid, perhaps. But the TP here, I want to know, if Corki doesn't base their Yamato, don't you guys pull so far ahead in the game?
The thing is, what I thought was the plan, that we're approaching 8 minutes, right? We're getting Corki with the package. If we are less afraid of committing into this, right? As soon as we see Corki basing, we're approaching 7:58, he needs to wait a couple of seconds. I thought we wanted to fight here. Because we have a base on Corki, we can give a tower for a beneficial fight. And I thought that was the thought process coming from my team's perspective. But obviously, Corki staying would also be a good thing because he would eventually get the tower and trade 1-for-1 and we get CS on 2 waves.
Yeah, they need to do one of those plays. Either way, Corki stays topside and they trade the turret.
Don't you think it's risky to have your top laner, and just for your opinion, I'm not going to say, like, 'cause it's so easy for us to spot it here, but that your top laner actually goes TP for that play that's already set up, whereas the enemy actually has a window of opportunity to take that tower for free, get more resources across the map, and because that could have snowballed, because Vizichachi did a phenomenal job coming back into the game, but at one point he was down almost double CS against his lane opponent.
Yeah, there was Fiora freezing on the bottom side, and we didn't do a play on the top side. So transitioning, like, let's go a step back to actually this play. When we were on the bottom side, I don't know the HP of the turret, but I don't know if Corki can get it with 1 or 2 waves. Maybe he had already Sheen, maybe he didn't. Either way, the aggressive play was because we have the Rift Herald, and maybe we can rotate mid side. We still have Rift Herald, and we forced them to defend on the second turret, so Corki needs to at least recall there.
Respect
and
that.
you know, from there on out, you can just choose your own adventure, what works best.
This is some great insight with 2 coaches about the game that just happened. To sum it up, though, for you, Yamato, final question. You mentioned in the beginning of the show about not wanting to have any regrets. It's something Stress touched on as well. In a game like this, I hear you mentioning we were maybe a bit too afraid to pull the trigger or to fight there. Is that your biggest takeaway for the guys here?
I feel like we didn't respect the fact that if we are pushing the mid wave with 3 and we get the mid wave and the enemy team is not showing, we can't just blindly face check, because the way minion waves work, either they're going to lose CS or you're going to get information based off minions. If the enemy team is not showing on the minion waves and we're face checking into the jungle, we're going to lose the game.
Yep.
Well, I really respect both of you coming here, giving your opinion on that. We also invited Twitter to ask you guys a couple of questions. Always dangerous. This one is from Wu-Tang Toft saying, at Yamato Mebdi, what has been the hardest part of coaching such a young and inexperienced team? Maybe as a footnote, you yourself are also still a very young guy, so how does that work?
Yeah, despite the beard, he's actually like 5 years younger than me or something.
Well, I think I love the guys. They are very energetic. It's almost like a kindergarten of some sort, but they are very energetic, they learn fast, but I feel like when it comes to how we progress, I feel like compared to other teams that I've been in, the responsibility weighs heavier on my shoulder because, of course, as he said, there is a lack of experience. But I feel like in my approach, I focus on the process and I look on long term, and I feel like we can progress properly. And if I'm going to say one point on what I feel is hardest about the guys is following the same amount of energy they have all the time, right? Sometimes I'm exhausted, but their energy kind of forces me to also be energetic.
You're an old soul.
Is it correct to assume that one of the blockers for Splyce right now is translating gently what I think will happen in scrims to the stage? Because we saw a couple of individual misplays across the season so far. Like, for example, today, Nisplat with the flash combo, screwing up. I don't imagine he will actually fail that very often in scrims, but just under the pressure of the stage, it feels like Splyce team is just playing a little more passive than they used to, and then I know that out of experience, things start falling down because you just don't get that extra minion wave pushed out. You don't get that extra step taken that you will do in scrims, that play that you're now too afraid to make. Is that something for Splyce, or am I just talking out of my behind?
I think it makes sense, but it's starting to become a little of a meme, you know, oh, Yamato's team, good in scrims, but bad on stage.
Oh,
know?
yeah.
But in reality, you know, it comes down to the experience thing again. You know, we have had good performances. I think the Fnatic game is a good takeaway of what we can do, but today was indeed, as you say, a game that I don't think was up to par with what I expected from my guys.
All right, something to review, and Sheepy walking away with the win here, but you guys are still staying here to preview the next game, and that'll be Fnatic versus Roccat, who will take to the stage. But first, Reckless tells us how a coach's role goes well beyond Summoner's Rift.
I think Daylor is in general a very funny guy. Me and him are similar in many ways, so I can easily relate to him, and I guess last year it was me, Yellowstar, and Daylor that were kind of on the same, I guess, humor level. So we always had a lot of fun, and then no one was laughing, right, on the other side. And then when the other guys were laughing, we were not laughing. So it was, yeah, quite funny on that one. But I think now with Yellowstar leaving and it's just me and Daylor left, so we kind of just laugh, and then everyone sits quiet, and the other guy starts laughing, and we just sit quiet. So yeah, it's it's a bit different. It's always nice to have him around because after all, we live together, we eat together, we play together, we basically do everything together, and that includes him as well. And I think he's just as much part of the team as any player in the team.